Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Luna and welcome to Luna's bookshelf. So in today's video we're going to do something fun. So I saw some people doing like these TikToks. I took my full inspiration from Larissa, and she posted a TikTok about talking about the books she wish she could read again for the first time. And I thought, why not do that in like a whole video where I talk about all of the books I wish I could read for the first time again. So, aka my favorite books. I guess we're going straight into it because I've got quite a lot of books. So let's get started. So I have like three genres I want to like talk about. I'm going to start with my no, I think I'm going to start with the fantasy books. So I have four fantasy books that are like my favorites. I wish I could read those books for the first time again and just erase them from my memory. That would be very cool if I would able to be doing that. So first up is like a historical fantasy book, and that is Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. So this book follows obviously Addie LaRue, and she made this deal with someone that she will be live forever. So she made this deal in 1714. So that's quite a long one, and she just going to live forever. But with this deal comes like a little trick, you know? It's not just, yay, she lives forever, yay, yay. No one will remember her. So every time she meets people, when she leaves and she comes back, they don't know who she is. Until one day in a bookstore in Manhattan, she meets Henry. And Henry remembers her. And she's like, why does this guy remember me? It's so weird. So she's trying to discover why he remembers her out of all people she's met over the decades she's been alive. So yeah, I really love this book and I'm thinking of rereading it maybe this year or next year because it was very, very good. I mean, she lives after like it says like she has lived 300 years. So much happens. I do want to warn you because this is a very slow-paced book for me. It took me quite a long time to read. I think it's also because it's more like an historical fiction book, and I normally don't read that kind of books. But it is so well written, and I kind of regret not like annotating this book. So I think what I'm going to do is, if I were to read this book, I would definitely annotate it because it's just such a cool and different story. Like I really love it, and I also love this cover. So yeah, that's the first book. If you haven't read it already, I highly recommend reading it. Then the next book is a book part of a series. I only have read the first book because it's a duology, and the second book came out I think this year in February, but I haven't read it yet. But I really want to like maybe read it in more like the fall time this year. So like in September, October, November, but we'll see. But it is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. I don't know how to pronounce her name. So this book follows Gideon and Rune. Rune, she is a witch, and Gideon is a witch hunter. It is a YA fantasy book, and so this takes place while there's a revolution going on, and you want to kind of destroy all of the witches that are in this place. And Rune, she is a witch, so she has to like pretend she's just this normal girl who is a socialite. So she tries to put herself through all of these things and pretend she's kind of normal, but yeah, obviously she isn't. And there's something she has to know. One of her friends is being kept in this place, and she wants to discover where her friend is kept so she can free her. But in order to do that, she has to have some information. And Gideon, he is like the captain of like the guard, and he is a witch hunter. And she's going to like try to charm him so she gets to know where her friend is being held. And Gideon also has his own reasons to trying to get into Rune's life. A lot is happening. She might think she's like falling for him because he's maybe not that of a bad guy. A lot of different stuff is happening, really complicated because they both like actually playing with each other. They're both using each other, but they just don't know it. I really ate this book up. It is so fast paced. I mean, I think I read it in like 2 days or something. So I think if I'm going to read the second book, I will definitely reread it because I just loved it so much. So yeah, if you're going into like the autumn time, the fall time, winter time, or maybe even now, you could read it as well in the summertime as well. I highly recommend reading this book because it was just so good and such a fast paced book to read. And it's also a YA fantasy, which I think is very accessible for everyone because it's not that difficult to understand. Also, the things with fantasy books, a lot of these books are like series, so that's kind of annoying, but it's okay. But this is the only fantasy book that is like a really long series. You may are guessing which book I'm talking about, and that is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. So you have, I think, 8 books. So you have 8 books in total in the series. There are some discussions of what the reading order is. I read first the Assassin's Blade, and then I read Throne of Glass, and then I just read the rest of the series. So, what is this series about? It's kind of difficult to explain, I think, because like you go through so many things in this series. This book follows mainly this whole series follows mainly Selena Serdathian. She is a 16-year-old assassin and she wants to win her freedom, but in order to do that, she has to defeat 23 murderers, thieves, and warriors in a deadly competition. And then she will be released from prison to serve as a king's champion. So she will be actually the king's assassin. But there is something going on in this castle. She also meets the prince and also the captain of the guard. A lot is happening. I mean, it is very difficult to explain. It was all over a 5-star series for me. I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely be rereading it at some point because we're just so good. So yeah, I highly recommend reading the series because once you're in it, you don't want to get out, if you know what I mean. The last series is actually a trilogy. It's also a young adult fantasy trilogy, and that is a Caraval trilogy by Stephanie Garber. So you have 3 books in total. These books take place before Once Upon a Broken Heart, also by Stephanie Garber. Obviously, I haven't read those books, but I have read these, and I really want to read those books as well, but I haven't yet. So in Caraval, we follow actually we follow Scarlet and Tala. They're sisters, and they want to go to Caraval. There's this magical place where the story happens, but you have to be invited. And Scarlet just receives this invitation from a mysterious sailor. So Tala is being kidnapped by the headmaster, the head of Caraval Legend. And it turns out that this whole edition is about finding Tala. So obviously, Scarlet is going to play and is going to try to find her sister. It is a very intriguing, very interesting, fast-paced, sometimes confusing book, but I really loved all 3 of them. I also like all of the side characters a lot. There are 3 books in total. I really binge read those books. It is also YA. It can be a little bit confusing at times because sometimes you feel like you're also being played with. Not gonna lie, but I really enjoyed this, and yeah, it's just so interesting, and I really want to read Once Upon a Broken Heart as well because it is with also characters from this book, from like this trilogy. So yeah, I think it's the best way to go into these books is to go really not knowing what this book's about. It can be a little bit confusing, as I just said, but I think it's the best way because you really are like shocked and in shock with things happening. So yeah. So that are it for like the fantasy books. Now we're going to go about talking about more historical fiction books. I have 2 historical literary fiction books. The first book I want to talk about is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. I don't have the physical copy of it because I read it last time on my e-reader, but I really love that book. I made a reading vlog about it, so if you haven't read it yet, go watch that. If you want to see me crying, definitely go watch it because I cried a lot while reading that book. So yeah. So Firefly Lane, as I just said, is a literary fiction, historical fiction book, and it follows two best friends. It follows Kate and Tilly, and they live in the same street, Firefly Lane. And in this book, you follow their friendship throughout different time periods, different decades, how their friendship evolves. It is such a beautiful story, and I think it's so beautiful to see how friendships can change over the times throughout how you are getting older and but your friends are also getting older. So yeah, it is really beautiful, devastating story, but oh yeah. I don't have to say a lot about it because I think it's really just about that, about friendship and how it goes over the time. So yeah. And then the next book is Daisy Chosen a Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I really love this book. I read it 2 times already. Like first time I read it, and the second time I listened to it as an audiobook, which I also highly recommend. And now I just recently finished the series adaptation of this book, and also very well done. So also a recommendation from me to you guys. So Daisy Jones and the Six follows Daisy Jones and the Six. This is a band in like the late 60s, in the 70s, and once they like in I'm going to take a look real quick. 1979 on July 12th, all of a sudden the band splits up. It was their last show they played in Chicago. They were going on tour, and all of a sudden it just stopped. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows why they split up. And now, sometime later, they're getting there's an interview with all of the band members, some of other people of the entourage who knew the band, on why they split up. So this whole story is written in like an interview perspective. So you have really like the people from the band talking, and then the interviewer who's kind of asking questions. But I don't think you can really see. So it is split up in different time periods. So you get to see who all the band members are, how they got together, because they weren't automatically bands as a whole. You have first Daisy Jones, and you have also the Six, and then they become a band. And you really read about from start to beginning, from yeah, from start to the end, on how they get together and why they split. It is so well written, and I think it's really interesting because I really believe this is still a real band. I mean, in my head, they're real. There's also, from the series, there is a real album on Spotify you can listen to. And it's so special because when I first read the book, I mean, all of the lyrics are in the back of the book, but you don't, I mean, it's really hard to like imagine how those lyrics sound if you're not like a musician, I think. And so yeah, I think this is such a wonderful book. There's a lot of emotional baggage into this book. It really makes you feel like you're getting to know this band, how they were created in a way, and all the troubles and all the struggles they were going through at the time. So yeah, I highly recommend reading this book. Also, if you're more like into audiobooks, this audiobook is also very fun because it is really like, because it is written in interview style, you feel like when you're listening to the audiobook, it is really like it gives you the feeling that you're like listening to a podcast about people talking about their band. And also the series adaptation is so good. I really love the casting for all of the people in the book, which is already also a very fun fact. Like, obviously they're musicians, and a lot of times I think like actors aren't like really themselves playing or singing in series or films, but all of the cast members, the actors, they learned how to play their instrument, learned how to sing in a really short time, like with very intensive teaching and practicing. So I think that's very cool. Like I mean, all of these actors are really singing and really playing these instruments, and I think that's so cool. So highly recommend reading it, listening to it, or watching the series. And now we're going into the romance books, my favorite genre of all time. I think I just love romance so much because yeah, it's just so good. So the first book is, it is kind of hard to categorize as a romance because it's interesting, but I'm going to put it in the romance genre, and that is the Magnolia Parks series by Tessa Hastings. So far, there are 5 books in this. So you have Magnolia Parks, then you have Daisy Hates, then you have Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, Daisy Hates, The Great Undoing, and then Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. And that is a final book in the Magnolia Parks universe, but the Daisy Hates universe is going to continue. But they all take place in the same place, the same characters. So in Magnolia Parks, you mainly follow 2 POVs. You have Magnolia Parks and you have Big J. Their love interests, and things are happening. There are some secrets unraveling. They're like the socialite, the higher class in London. And then you have Daisy Hates, and Daisy Hates books follow Daisy Hates, Julian Hates, the brother of Daisy, and Christian. And that's also in that book, those books you follow more like, definitely in the first book of Daisy Hates, you follow really Daisy, her story, and Julian and Christian's story, like how they work. And when the third book comes, like Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, they'll get more intertwined and get more together. So yeah, I recently, just like this year, I restarted the series again because I read Daisy Hates and Magnolia Parks quite a long time ago. But now reading like the other 3 books, I really love the series and I love all of the characters. It is very difficult, and I mean, there are some tropes in these books I know a lot of people don't like. They're also not my favorite tropes, to be completely honest. But Jessa just did something. She put something in these books that made them so addictive. I mean, I want to read about rich people living in London and all of their struggles and all of their problems. Sign me up. Hell yeah, I want to read that. So yeah, I really loved it, and if you like Gossip Girl, definitely give these books a try. If you have to ask me which books I prefer, I think it's so difficult because I really love the Magnolia Parks books, but I also really just love the Daisy Hayes books, especially Julian. I think Julian is definitely my favorite character in the whole series because every time a chapter of this man comes in, I'm underlining. I think I could underline all of the words, all of the lines. So yeah, highly recommend reading it. It is not really a romance because it's sometimes really sad and devastating. There's also a lot of trauma dumping in some of the other books, especially like the later on books, also with Daisy Hayes. So take that into consideration maybe before starting it. But if you didn't like Magnolia Parks, definitely try to read Daisy Hayes and then give maybe Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home another try because they're very good, in my opinion at least. And I wish I could reread them for the first time. And now we're going to one of my favorite authors. I selected 2 books from both of these authors because I was like, I'm not going to put all of the books in here because I don't love all of their books as much as you know what I mean. So the first author is Ellie Hazelwood. Miss Ellie Hazelwood, I have read all of her books and all of her books are so good. Okay, there are some books I didn't like as much. They're not all 5-star, but most of the books are like definitely 4 stars. I think the only book I gave by Ellie Hazelwood 3 stars was, I think, Love on the Brain. I think that was the only one. For the rest, I love all of them. So yeah, but there are some 2 books I want to talk about specifically because I love them very much. And the first book is obviously one of my favorite books of all time, and I will recommend to everyone, and that is The Love Hypothesis. Also, very fun news. There's a movie coming out, and I'm so excited. And I saw the casting, and I'm very excited. A lot of people don't maybe agree with me, but I'm very excited about the casting. And I think Lily Reinhardt is a good Olive, and I don't know what the actor's name is who played Adam is also very good casting, so I'm very happy. But The Love Hypothesis is obviously a romance book, is an adult romance book. There is a lot of spies in this book, so be aware. So in this book, we follow Olive Smith. She is a PhD student at, does it say where? Because I kind of forgot. I read this book like 3 times, but still forgetting some details. It doesn't matter. But her best friend Anne, she kind of has a crush on a guy Olive dated for like a couple of weeks, not even that long. But Anne is like, I don't know, you dated him. And the thing is, she thinks that Olive is still into Jeremy, I think he's called. And Olive tries to convince Anne that she's totally over him and that she's going on a date, but she's secretly going to just work in the lab. And then all of a sudden, when she's in the lab, in the building, in the department building, she sees Anne. But Anne thinks Olive is on a date. So what does a girl when she sees her best friend and she's scared she's going to discover she isn't on a date? She kisses the first man she sees, aka Adam Carlson. He is like the professor at Stanford, obviously in Stanford. And he's just like, whoa, what is happening here? This random girl is kissing me, but except she's not that random of a girl, but more about that in the book. So Adam's like, you just can't kiss me all of a sudden, and they kind of just agree on doing this thing to fake date. So Olive can convince Anne she's totally over Jamie, and also Adam gets his benefits from this fake dating thing. A lot in this book is very good. I really love it, but it's also some things that are being spotlighted of the academic world, because I think Allie Hazelwood herself is like in academia. Yes, she is. She's pursuing, or at least when this book came out, she was pursuing a PhD in neuroscience, and she just became a professor. So yeah, really cool. All of her books are like in this kind of genre, in the STEM genre, and I really love that. If you haven't read this book, go to the bookstore, go to the library, go online, get this book, and read it. Because it's so, so, so good. Love Adam and Olive very much. Then, the next book, also by Ellie Hazelwood, is Love Theoretically. Also a very fun STEM romance book. And this book follows Elsie and Jack. Elsie, she is a theoretical physicist, and she has been struggling with something because I think she was diabetic. But, the health system and healthcare in America is not that great. So it costs a lot of money. So she has this like little side job where she pretends to date someone, like fake dating. And all of a sudden, she meets the guy she's dating, and that's Jack. And Jack is supposed to be the guy who ruined her mentor's career. And he's also the head of the department at physics at MIT, where Elsie wants to apply for a job, her dream job. So that's a little bit awkward. So yeah, that's basically it. It's about them. It is very. There's also a little cameo of Adam and Olive in this book, which I really loved. So yeah, it is. The thing you have to know is, I mean, both of these books, a lot of Ellie Hazelwood books, are related to the STEM, to the science side, and not a lot of people really like that, but I love that, and it's so different from other books that I've read. So yeah, really loved it. Jack and Elsie, love them. And then, last but definitely not least, also one of my favorite authors. I also read all of her books. There's one book that I haven't read, I think, by her yet, but it's like more of an early published book by her, and that is Miss Emily Henry. This girl, I love all of her books. I mean, she's so good. Her writing style is French kisses. Perfect. So, the first book I want to talk about is Happy Place. So, By the way, all of her books are perfectly to read in the summertime. Just a little reminder, if you're looking for some fun summer books, read an Emily Henry book. Very perfect. So, Happy Place is about Harriet and Win. And they were like this couple in college for a very long time in this friend group, but they recently broke up. But with the friend group, they're going to this cottage in Maine where they were going to for every year, I think. But they just have broken up, but nobody of the friend group knows it. So they decided to keep it a secret to preserve the fun and no drama at this last cottage trip because the cottage is going up for sale. But it's not that difficult, it's not that simple to live with your ex and pretend everything is fine while everything is definitely not fine because you're struggling, obviously. So in this book, we follow kind of two timelines. You have the timeline of when they're at the cottage, and then you have the timeline of leading up to the breakup of Harriet and Win. I really, really love this book. I also reread it, I think last year or this year. I'm not sure anymore. Her writing style, the friendship. This book is not only about the romance of Harriet and Win, but it's also very much about a friend group, about miscommunication. I know a lot of people don't like miscommunication in books, but I think it's a very real thing that it happens in real life a lot of the times. So I don't mind it, and especially in this book, how friend groups evolve throughout years and how everyone changes. And I think you could read this book a couple of times throughout your own years and learn something new from it every time you read it. So yeah, I really love this book and I think everyone should give it a try. At least give it a try because one of my friends doesn't like it, but that's fine. It's completely fine, but definitely give this book a try. And then the release from last year that I really loved as well, obviously, and that's Funny Story. So in Funny Story, we follow Daphne and Miles. Daphne is getting married to Peter, and they're going to they just moved back to his lakeside town in Wenning Bay in Michigan. And all of a sudden, Peter tells Daphne, "Hey girl, I think I'm in love with my childhood best friend, Petra." Joke's on you, we're not getting married. Yay. So now Daphne is stranded in this small town. She doesn't know anyone, all of her family is elsewhere, and she's all alone. But she has to live somewhere. Because yeah, she was living with Peter. So she's getting a roommate, and that is none other than Miles. And Miles is the ex of Petra. Yeah, that's Petra. So they're co-hosting together. They'll find very fun being roommates. And I mean, Daphne is really heartbroken. I mean, she was going to marry Peter, and all of a sudden she's not going to marry him. And Miles is like more of a relaxed guy. He is, I don't know how to say it. He gives Nick vibes from New Girl, and I love it. And she gives kind of Jess vibes in a way, you know. I love her dynamic. I love their banter. I love everything about this book. So read it. Just, just read it. Even if you didn't like Happy Place, try this one. So good. Also for the summertime. If you love New Girl, try and read it. I read it basically in 2 days. I could have read it in like one day, but I couldn't. But I could have read it in one day, in one sitting. Yeah, so good. So good. Yeah, that was it. So, that were all the books I want to talk about. All of these books, if you haven't read, if there's one book you haven't read, give it a try. Just try. You don't have to like it, but just give a book a try, you know? Let me know what a book is you wish you could erase from your memory and read again for the first time again in your life in the comments. I'm very excited. Maybe I see some new books that I maybe want to try. We'll see. If you made this for a video, leave down a mic emoji. I think there's a, is there a microphone emoji? I think there is. I'm not sure. I'm going to quickly see. So if you made it this far in the video, leave down a mic emoji. I will put like examples in the screen. And that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!